The movie begins, and here we learn about the life of Chuck Noland, who was stranded on an island. He stayed there for 4 years. The scene is an office start, and we notice the Chuck. He worked for a courier company and he took his work seriously. And the senior officer of that courier office wants to know that every courier arrives on time. This is why Chuck left the country, where the company has branches, and he is praised by employees for his honesty and love of work. He told them all to pay the price of time. Chuck falls in love with a girl named Kelly. Their relationship is so deep, they are willing to get married. But they can't get married because of Chuck's busy routine. Christmas is approaching and Chuck has a business trip to Malaysia. She has to go for office work. Kelly says, "How I will spend my Christmas." Chuck assures Kelly that he will be back in the new year. Chuck and Kelly give each other Christmas presents. Kelly gave him a watch that had a photo of Kelly on it. Chuck has now left for Malaysia. It was the office's own private jet. But a storm started and his plane crashed. There were 4 more people on the plane. And this plane crashed in the Pacific Ocean. As soon as he wakes up in the morning, he finds himself on a beach, worried about not seeing anyone around. He writes a huge help on the ground so that an overhead plane can come to his aid when it passes. Night falls and he falls asleep. After waking up the next morning, he sees that the word "help" in his writing has disappeared for the water. Now he uses a piece of wood to write "help" again. He believes that someone will come to his aid. Now Chuck is hungry, but he doesn't get anything from the floating courier packages. Now Chuck notices a word. Looking around, when he sees a fallen coconut, he realizes it is the sound of a coconut. He gets nothing but coconuts there. He eats it and survives. Chuck has been here for 3 days, has been cut off in the sea by a rock because he is barefoot. Cutting the pants in half, he wraps his piece around his legs so he can avoid the pain. There he notices a mountain top. He decides to climb to the top at any cost. He climbs it, he manages to reach this top successfully. Now he is in the sea. Notice something like his cut. When go down, he was surprised because it was the body of the pilot of his plane. He cried a lot and arranged for his burial. But before burying, he left the pilot's torch and shoes. He used to live on this island. He survives by drinking the drops of dew that fall on the leaves. He wants to fish but can't succeed. He drinks nothing but dew drops and coconut drinks. He depends on them when he eats. At night he saw a ship at sea. He repeatedly turned the torch on and off so that the ship's men could see him. Next day, however, he decided that he had a raft tick. He will cross the sea with it. He knew there was no one around. While fleeing, he drowned due to strong currents in the sea. Meanwhile, his feet rubbed against the sea rocks and he bled. Chuck returns and it starts to rain. And he notices a cave and goes inside to spend the night there. It was much darker inside the cave, so he turned on the torch. With the torch on all night, its battery runs low. He has nothing like a torch for light. He does not even know how to light a fire. Now he came back and got some things in a few courier packages that came floating with him. After opening it, he finds skating shoes with blades on the bottom. He could easily cut coconut with it. Now he can cut anything. She points the pulses through it and she catches fish with it. But he can't eat raw fish. So he tries his best to light a fire, but in this case he fails. He can finally light a tries again using 2 pieces of chalk fire, and this is the first time he's happy to be on the beach. Chuck gets a football in the courier package and it takes Chuck's blood in it, and in it he makes eyes, nose and lips with the shape of a human face with his own hands. Making him his friend, he started talking to her and put her by the fire to dry the blood. He named it Wilson. There is another problem she faces, which is her toothache. It was a long time ago that she did not go to him for treatment. Gradually the pain in his teeth became unbearable and he decided that he would remove the pain from his pain, and when he tried to lift his teeth through ice skating he went to pick up the tooth and fainted. Over time he became 4 years on this island. He learned all the ways to survive in 4 years. His hair and beard became much longer and his appearance was no longer the same as before. He looked weak. But he now learned to fish very easily. Chuck became a close friend of Wilson with whom he had conversations. One day while eating fish he heard a sound. There he saw a sheet of steel floating and an idea came to his mind. He could get out of the island using this tin can whenever. He tries to get out, but the waves of the sea stand in his way. Now he cut coconut wood to make a boat, and put the sheet of steel in front of him. Although building the boat was not an easy task, he decided to flee when the wind lightened. He fixed the sheet of steel to the front so that he could sit on the boat and press on the water. And he could move forward. He left Wilson in the boat and set off. He faced big waves on the sea voyage. But the waves of the sea come out of the island. He floats on the raft. He does not know when the land will be seen. but he was optimistic about getting home. But it wasn't a boy game. He had to face the worst situation of the voyage. He stores rainwater for drinking and fish as food. He collects rainwater in the coconut shell. He keeps it safe so that he can use it in difficult times. One day all of a sudden, Chuck's football that his friend Wilson fell into the sea. When he found out, it floated away. He jumped into the water and tried to save Wilson but was unsuccessful. When he returned to the raft, he cried a lot. In these 4 years Wilson has only talked to her. Chuck became sensitive to it because it wasn't just football for him. So he is sad because of this loss. After many days of traveling, Chuck was very tired. And a ship moves in front of his raft and the sailor saves after seeing him. His friends and relatives thought he was gone. And his girlfriend Kelly was now married. He also has a daughter. Chuck goes to meet her and she hugs him happily. Now Kelly is married, so everything is over. They have no choice. Chuck returns Kelly's watch because it's Kelly's family watch. But he kept the picture of the watch to himself. Kelly told him, "You promised me to come back. I believed you were alive. But everyone forced me to, so I was forced to get married. But I can't wait until I apologize." Kelly still wants to go with Chuck but has her own family, so she can't go. They express their love for each other. Chuck picks up Kelly and drives her home. Now Chuck sits down with his friend and tells him that I tried to commit suicide on the beach. While executing myself, Kelly's thought came to my mind that I should go to her. But when I came back, I realized that I had lost her. Time Kelly to choose the direction of his life has forced. And she's married. Now Chuck was alone, but life must go on. In the end, Chuck has a package that he brings from the island. Many packages arrive at the beach after the plane sinks. From which he did not open a package, and he had his address and he promised that he would deliver the package to his owner. He knew to return the package but could not find anyone. Wrote a paper note, on which he wrote, "This package saved my life." Then he left. Now we noticed Chuck on the raw path where he was finding his way through a map. Where will he go? An incoming girl shows him the way. The girl's car has the same wing mark as the package. Then a sign of hope appears in Chuck's eyes, and the movie ends here.